Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective. Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. You do not need to adjust your screens because you think you're in a time machine. My hair is really channeling some 80s vibes today. I got layers for my curls, but did not think about the consequences. Whoops. Wow. I don't know where that one went. That just flew. I think it flew right into my trash can. Oops. Oh, I found it. I found it. I don't think I can grab it, but I found it. Anyways, okay. I see where this morning is going already. So, let's just get rolling, okay? Let's just do this. Let's just do this. Maybe that card is for me for later. Sorry. I know I'm all over the place. But anyways, I think my hair will channel some better vibes as it grows out, so I'm looking forward to that. But for the time being, anyways, good morning, older sibling. So, oh, Monday of a holiday week, no less. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to pick up this card. Monday of a holiday week, no less. All right, that one's just for me for later, so I apologize. Let's get rolling here. Last week was a doozy. This week will be a short week for the perspective. But first and foremost, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful week. Secondly, be kind to the retail workers because it's really not their fault that you waited till the last minute. So, show a little kindness. And at the mall, I know it's hard, but try to be the bigger person. But anyways, let's just pull some mindful cards or thought cards. And then we'll get rolling. Oh, there's a lot that came out there. Everything's trying to fall off my desk this morning. So number 1, let your fears be your fuel. Chaos is the alchemical path to life. Forge your own reality now. I guess when they say let your fears be your fuel, chaos is the that word just eludes me. Path to life, forge your own reality now. What they're saying is, let your fears fuel you. Don't be afraid. I actually don't like the way this card is put, because if you have a very negative mind, you're not going to see the message. What you're going to see is, okay, so it's okay to be afraid. And it's going to be an excuse. It's going to be your brain saying, okay, I can't do this. It's okay because this gives me permission. But for the brain that isn't feeling a bit negative, it's saying let your fear fuel you. Your fears be your fuel. For fuck's sake, seriously, this is how today is going to be. But that's okay. Good moods, right? Just stay in that high vibe. It's hard, but it's a balance. But let your fears be your fuel. So basically, like we talked about last week. I think we actually got that last week. Think about it a little, process it, and then do it anyway. So anyways, life changes when the way you perceive things changes. Changing your perception changes your life. Changing your perception changes your life. Okay? So it could be like, right here it says changing your perception changes your life. Are you a half glass full or a half glass empty person? Okay, so how you perceive things. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Marinate your mind on that for a day. Nothing changes if nothing changes. If you don't change, nothing changes. And you may think, why am I the one that has to change? Well, you might be the one drawing these experiences to you. And if you're the one drawing these experiences to you, it's why you need to change. But it could also be your mindset and your vibration. Maybe you're vibing low. Maybe you're not vibing very high. And if that's the case, then, you're going to keep bringing stuff to you that you don't want to bring to you. So, let's see. Sorry, I cannot get over my hair. Give love, create love, be love, receive love, emanate love, speak love, anchor love. So it's all about love. Do all the love things, all the love things, and love yourself. Most importantly, love yourself. So, I'm just going to hop right into the vortex cards because I can see my brain is still struggling. I think it's finally, after who knows how long. I keep thinking I know how long, and then I think back and I'm like, yeah, I'm probably deluding myself. But I really think it's important to stick to these vortex cards as often as possible. And because I won't be doing a show on Thursday or Friday. It's the holiday week. Friday I'm going to be out of town with my dad. So, and then starting Wednesday afternoon, I'm like everybody's chauffeur to the airport or home from the airport or this, that, or the other. So I'm basically Schuber. I'm a Schuber or a shelfer. I like that better, the shelfer for everyone else. So, and Thursday it starts early. I didn't think about that when I said, yeah, sure, no problem. So I do apologize for that. But also, I think towards the end of the week, everyone's super duper busy. So I figure maybe just starting back on Monday, which is Boxing Day in the UK Commonwealth. So, we don't celebrate it here, but it still seems like a really fun idea, right? So we'll start back on Monday. But today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. We have today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. So let's see. Getting into the Vortex by Esther and Jerry Hicks, The Teachings of Abraham, right? I think they call him Abraham Hicks sometimes, but it's actually Esther and Jerry, and she channels Abraham. But getting into the Vortex is basically getting into your self-awareness, getting in the Vortex to me, and from the descriptions I read here, but to me, the first time I saw it was really about the core of your soul, your own vortex, not walking through some portal and saying, hey, hopefully everything will be all better and exciting and wonderful. No, it's just like the cards change. You perceive, or nothing changes unless, nothing changes if nothing changes. So this is about that change. This is about getting into self-awareness, getting into that vortex of your soul. I'm glad I'm not saying it like I'm trying to steal yours anymore. My goodness, it's just like soul. But that's how you could also tell where I was really at mentally. Just kind of like, I just don't want to be here. I mean, here on the planet, yes, but just not out of bed. Yeah. So it's been rough, and I'm really finding that balance. And the only reason I share that is because a lot of I do mental health advocacy. It's very important to me that it becomes more mainstream talked about, because there are a lot of people struggling out there. There's a lot of people suffering out there. And there's a lot of people just saying, oh, cheer up. It'll get better. But when you don't understand how that brain works, when you don't understand how mental health works, you can't just say, feel better. It'll get better. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it probably will, but not like a normal person. Okay, we don't just say, all right, I'm fine. I got to get myself up off the couch and live this life. Sometimes it's a bit more of a process and a struggle, and it might take a lot more energy and work than most people realize. So anyways, card number 20 of 60. Look at that. We're the third of the way through. Flawed premises can attract true unwanted evidence. Flawed premises is... I'm sorry. My brain is not connecting with this. Flawed premises can attract true unwanted evidence. That's the card. Let's read this. And like I said, for anybody that's new on here, or who might just be joining on, this particular deck of cards, this, we spent the last group of things we did was the 30 lessons of self-love. And we spent 3 days, building that foundation of that, for that house of self-love, that we spent 30 lessons, really kind of erecting that house. This is about filling the house with what you want. It's filling that inside of you, that vortex of your soul, the core of your soul, and decorating this house to be warm and inviting and to be strong and sturdy on the inside and the outside. So these cards are pretty much just as new to me as they are to you. Yes, they are my cards. No, I do not necessarily go through my cards like a lot of people do. When it comes to these kind of things, I like to wing it with everybody else, especially when I'm going through it, because I feel like, we learned something together. I mean, last week I did some serious processing right here on video. So it was kind of like, wow, So anyways, if you were to hear a false premise again and again until you yourself began to believe and repeat it, now your own activation of the contradictory vibration would interfere with your sense of intelligence, and you would begin to attract evidence of your belief. in effect proving the false premise to be true. And so it becomes increasingly hard for you to call this a false premise when the evidence seems to be telling you that it is true, for over time you come to believe it is true. I got one word for this card. Politics. Politics. I have another one word for this card, but I don't want to go in that direction because this isn't what this show is about. This isn't what this live is about. But there are a lot of people who think one person, I'm just going to say it real quick, should have been elected and had the election stolen from him. This is what they're talking about. That person preaches so many lies. And yeah, if you're watching this and you disagree with me, that's a perceived thing. And you can say that, yeah, well, what you're being told is exactly what you're believing. But the thing is, the majority of what I'm being told, what I'm being told is believed by the majority of people on both sides. There's just a small group of people who believe the lies of other people. And that's when it gets dangerous. That's when it gets dangerous. Or bringing it back into the vortex and into self-awareness. I mean, that was just an example I'm trying to give. And I'm not trying to tell anyone how to believe. I'm not trying to tell anyone that you're wrong, you're right, whatever. This is an example of what happens when we don't do our own homework, when we don't listen to our own spidey instincts, and we just trust everything that people tell us, whether it's, factual or not factual. And then we just dive deep into that. This is what it's talking about. It's about, if you hear a false premise again and again until you yourself began to believe and repeat it, now your own activation of the contradictory vibration would interfere with your sense of intelligence, and you would begin to attract evidence of your belief, in effect proving the false premise to be true. And so it becomes increasingly hard for you to call this a false premise when the evidence seems to be telling you that it is true, for over time you come to believe it is true. This is just another version of the law of attraction and whether, you attract good or bad. When you believe something so wholeheartedly, you are going to bring evidence of that into your life. So, there's a lot of debate about, being vaccinated, not being vaccinated, whatever. Yeah, I know this is going back in that direction, but these things are just popping into my head. And again, whether you do that or not, that's your choice. I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't do with your body. All right. Lots of people try to tell me what I can do with my body, but I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to tell you what you can or cannot do with your body. But my point is, some people will sit there and say, oh, but I saw this, I read this, somebody told me this, a person with a blue check mark next to their name said this is how it is, so I believe them. Make your own choices, make your own decisions. I know people who have been vaccinated that gotten COVID. I know people who have, not been vaccinated and not gotten it. I've been fortunate, knock on wood, and so is older sibling, to have escaped it. I'd like to think at this point, I never try to say, we're safe and we're locked in a house. No, I feel like we're always just staying one step ahead of it. And I'm very grateful for that. But you also have to remember that people who do get vaccinated, it doesn't mean they can't get sick. And it doesn't mean they can't be a carrier. For the most part, I've always been very healthy. I mean, I don't know how. I'm like an alien or something. But if somebody would get sick at work, I had to take extra precautions for myself because older sibling is immunocompromised. And believe it or not, I could actually come home and not even be near her in the house. I mean, where we sit in the living room is about 6 or 7 feet apart. But I touch things when you sneeze, when you cough, if you don't wash your hands and all that stuff. And then they come around and touch it and then touch their face or touch their food or touch whatever. Boom. You've just been the carrier and passed it on to someone else. Excuse me. So again, I don't want to lose anyone here. All right. Those are examples of what I'm talking about. And like I said, I'm not saying that if you believe one way, you're wrong. And if you believe the other way, you're right. You just make the informed decisions. My dad and I were talking the other day about an issue with a family member that no longer talks to me. And he said, well, they said this, and I just had to know what the issue was. And I'm not, this is kind of what they were accusing me of, is saying something out loud. I'm not naming names. I don't name names. Okay? My dad knows who I'm talking about. I know who I'm talking about. And if they rattled off to anybody else, they know. But the point is, I went back to look, and I had to go way back to find out if it was true what they said. Because, you know what? I don't want to sit here and try to, be the person that's all high and mighty. Like, no, I'm right, blah, blah, blah. But I thought, wow, what if I did do that and I don't remember it? Because it was a couple of years ago. So I actually went back. I found a way on Facebook to go back a couple of years to posts and stuff. I went through an entire year and a half, found nothing that they were talking about, which made me feel better. And it made me feel better because it's like, okay, there's no winner in that situation. There's no winner in that situation. I mean, I wasn't wrong, but there's still no winner. But when you convince yourself over and over and over again of a certain way of thinking, when you convince yourself of, that this is the way I'm going to think, this is how it is, that's what you're constantly going to believe. That is exactly what you're going to believe. And we can convince ourselves to do anything. Now, to bring this back into, you're probably like, Shelley, but what does this have to do with the core of my soul? It's everything to do with the core of your soul. Because when you sit there and spew shit about yourself, when you talk bad about yourself, when you talk negative about yourself, when you, hate your life openly, when you sit there and you're angry at everything in the world, you start convincing yourself that that is what you're worth, that is what you deserve, that, you start making yourself believe that all these horrible things are because you're a bad person. And you're not a bad person. You're a good person having bad experiences. You're a good person having bad situations happen in life. You're a good person that has had bad things happen to them. But that doesn't make you a bad person. I have a friend that, reached out to me to pull some cards for them. No, please, no, thank you. That's my big peeve. No, please, no, thank you. I need you to do this. It's like, okay, you need me to do this, but all right. But this is somebody that I've talked to over and over and over again, and really tried to help them refocus, really tried to help them lean in towards the positive. Like I said, I am not positive every day, but I know what happens when I let negativity take root in my life. And I can't do that anymore because it's really kind of a slap in the face to my healing journey. It's a slap in the face to my journey and the people that helped me along that journey. If I sit there and just throw away every tool that I have gathered on this path. And yeah, this might seem a little heavy and a little deep for a Monday. But think about it. This is a Monday. This is a new week. This is a new start. How do you want to go into this holiday week? If you celebrate. Oh, and happy Hanukkah to everybody who observes Hanukkah. But how do you want to go into this week? I'm very, every year I have to read about Hanukkah because it's like I get the story, but it was about the lights, right? And for how 8 days this one little tiny thing of light stayed lit for 8 days. That's why they celebrate for 8 days. I know that's kind of the really abridged version of that, but there was trust there. There was a miracle there. There was a belief there. There was this part of somebody's soul that says, I'm going to trust this. And, because of that, they get 8 days, right? 8 days to celebrate and be grateful and show gratitude. Be thankful for all the things in our lives. We can take a page out of Hanukkah. You don't have to celebrate it or observe it to understand that everything we read, everything we celebrate has a story. Winter solstice has a story. Christmas has a story. Everything has a story. Easter, Halloween, Thanksgiving, whether well, at least in North America, Thanksgiving. But these things that we celebrate for a reason. It's not to cause controversy. It's not to cause, depths and depths of pain. Yeah, there is a lot of things that need to be fixed. I went down the rabbit hole of Twitter this weekend, and someone says, well, you and your country. And it's like, a lot of people will say you and your country, not me. I was just reading. Okay. I was just reading comments. It takes every fiber of my being to not respond sometimes. But there were a lot of people throwing my country under the bus and saying, well, you guys got your problems. Yeah, we got our problems, but we are literally 246 years old versus, 1,000 years old. Or maybe like 600 or 700 years old. And people don't think about that. People don't think about the fact that this country was, 1776 seems like a long time ago. But when you look at other countries and how old they are and how deep their traditions go and how rooted they are in their land, in their people, in, who they are and who they've, evolved to be, you realize that a lot of what we're going through, it's really kind of the terrible twos. What this country is going through. And, we're basically toddlers amongst everybody else. But people don't think about that. And right now, I'm not going to lie, it feels like we're trying to go backwards. And I don't like that. Because that's not the way we're supposed to go. See, people will sometimes say the word progressive. I don't have a party. Okay, I don't. I choose not to align with anybody until people start really showing that, they can work together. But from my point of view, my perspective, when you hear the word progressive, a lot of people freak out. Oh, that's how they want things. Oh, they think it should be this way. Progress is how change happens. Progress is how all these countries that are like 1,000 years, like England. England is like 1,000 years old. Okay? Minimum. That's just, I think, when it like when the Romans traipsed in and did all their stuff and, however long ago that was. But I'm sure England might be older. But the people there are older. The people that have been there, the people that moved there, people that migrated there. The people that grew up on the lands, sprung from the oceans and the heavens and the trees, whatever, When you look at that, you think, okay, they've had time to evolve. Europe has had time to evolve. Asia has time to evolve. All these other places. But when you stop and think about it, North America is pretty new, with the exception of our natives, our Native Americans, who actually crossed over from here too, or to get here too. So, but they were here first. And so, I think in Canada they call them the First Nation. Here we call them our Native Americans. Or some people call them Indians, which, thanks Columbus for messing that up. But anyways, I'm in a mood. Apparently I am in a mood today. I'm not trying to be in a mood, and I know I sound preachy, and I do apologize for that. My head is still swimming in 50 directions, and I'm really trying to just kind of settle my energy. But I kept telling myself this morning, you have to do this morning. And so I do apologize if I sound preachy. I'm trying not to. I'm not trying to stand on a soapbox and give you all my opinions, which is basically what I've done today, and I do apologize for that. If you're new here, this is not normally how they go. We talk these things through, and, we think about it, and, but I guess what I'm trying to say is do your own homework. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. That's how we learn things. And I used to have a big problem with being wrong. I hated being wrong. And for me, maybe not everybody else, but for me, I attributed that to when I was a kid and being bullied or told I was, stupid, or told I was dumb, or this, that. And then you start to believe these things because that becomes the narrative. And when you don't stick up for yourself, or nobody sticks up for you, I'm talking about being bullied at school, you start to believe these things that people say about you. You start to believe these lies. And so, coming back in to the soul, the vortex of who you are, stop putting in your mind flawed premises, flawed ideas. Stop training your brain to see somebody that is awful and horrible and mean and terrible, because you're not. Like I said, you're a good person that bad things happen to. You're a good person who has had to go through bad situations. You're a good person who is just trying to figure out how to navigate through this really, really rough ocean and sea of waves that just keep pummeling you. And yet you still find yourself sailing through. But the more you sit there and say, why do bad things keep happening to me? That's going to keep happening because you're putting it out there. Like I said, these cards are very, very, the undertone of these cards is the law of attraction. I mean, that should be in parentheses on the front of the box. It really is, because the vortex of your soul is really where your vibration comes from, right? Where your feelings come from, where you feel everything right here. And people will say it's your heart. And yeah, sometimes it is your heart, but sometimes you'll sit there and say, oh my God, I felt that to the bottom of my soul. Or the tingles or the spidey instincts. You owe it to yourself to be good to you, to speak kindly to yourself. I mean, it's like I say a lot. What you say is what you hear, what your brain processes, and what you end up seeing. So if you keep saying shit and, bad stuff keeps coming out of your mouth, of course you're going to start believing it. And because you're believing it, you're going to start drawing these things to you. You're going to start drawing that evidentiary support, right? I think that's a word. And to support this idea that what you believe is true. Because that's what we attract. How many times have you sat there and said, whoa, just randomly, you're sitting at your desk, you're not talking to anybody, you're not typing anything in your computer, maybe you're gazing out the window going, I wonder what blah, blah, blah looks like. Like maybe it's you've heard somebody talking about some new mechanical thing, right? And have some new technology, and you're like, wow, I wonder what that looks like. And then you go to your computer and poof, it's right there. And you're like, whoa. But you didn't say it out loud, so you can't blame it on whatever technology you have around you. You didn't Google it on your phone. You didn't Google it on your laptop or a computer. So you're just like, whoa, how did that happen? That's the law of attraction. Because you're feeling something so deeply, with such curiosity, that you're bringing in the support of evidence to show you this. So when you follow a certain narrative over and over and over again, when you follow that narrative, that's exactly the evidence you were going to get back. You're not going to get evidence that will dispute it. You're not going to get evidence, that's not in favor of it, because this is what you're drawing into your life, no matter what it is. And again, with the law of attraction, the universe, whether you believe in it or not, it does, again, believe in you. And when you put negative stuff out there, it's going to bring you negative stuff back. If you put good stuff out there, it'll bring you good stuff back. Maybe not the way you want it, but it'll bring it to you the way you need it. The law of attraction doesn't give a shit. It doesn't say, oh, well, they're putting out something negative, so I'm going to bring them something good. No, it is literally called the law of attraction for a reason. It's like Murphy's Law. Every time you sit there and go, well, of course, watch, I'm probably going to, go down the street and I'm going to get every red light. And then you'll say, that's Murphy's Law. Well, yeah, in a way, but Murphy's Law is also AKA the law of attraction. You literally felt this because you're in a rush. I mean, you could jokingly say it, yeah, I'm going to go out there and probably get every red light, but you laugh it off, right? Which is kind of saying to the universe, just kidding. Or saying to your higher powers, just kidding. But when you put that, because you're in a rush, right? And you're like, I really need to get to the freeway. I got to get to this place right now before blah, blah, blah time and yada, yada. Now watch, I'm probably going to get every single fucking red light. And you do, because you just felt that so hard. The universe says, okay, that's what you want? Wish granted. Don't do that. Trust me, I have tried to figure out every way around the law of attraction to avoid it. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It follows you like a leech. All right. It attaches itself to you with its little tiny, law of attraction vibration cord and says, you are basically like those movies where they show the people just hanging there with, wires coming out of them, or aliens with wires coming out of them. And it says, because that's what happens. You are vibrationally connected to the universe. Even if you have higher powers. To me, they're separate. A lot of people don't see them as separate because a lot of people don't want to believe in spiritual things, and that's fine. I have a very full table, but I also believe in the universe. And if you constantly put out negative stuff, that's what's going to happen, because there's a little tiny universal straw or needle or whatever you want to call it, like a PICC line that sticks inside of you and says, okay, I'm reading your every vibration. Or even an EKG, if you've ever had one of those. I've had many because, you know, heart. But you get to decide what you put out there. You get to decide how things go. If you keep putting out there all this negative stuff, that's exactly what you're going to get back. And don't you think you deserve better? Don't you think you deserve, you know, sorry, it's a cat. Flying cats in here. Don't you think you deserve the positive things? Again, like I said, trust me. I know how hard it is. You know, I always try to find a reason to sabotage my life. Not intentionally, but subconsciously. Every time something starts to go good, I find a way to make it implode. And that's why I really had to start on this healing journey. That's why I really had to start figuring out how to change my mindset. And, you know, yeah, I preach the positivity every day. Yeah, but I will, like I said, I will follow it up with saying, but I'm not positive every day. I have to deal with a squirrely brain that doesn't always cooperate. And, you know, I have to kind of hold tight and batten down the hatches, because last week I was going through so much of my own crap, just trying to get my brain balanced, and everybody just kept coming to me. I need to talk. Can we talk? I need you here, you know, or not need you here, but, you know, I need you to talk to me. And I'm sitting here thinking, I just want to crawl back into bed. I just want to crawl back into bed. But everybody was calling me. Everybody needed something, or messaging me on Messenger, or texting me, you know, like, I didn't understand this. I don't understand this. And just all of them trying to work through their own situations, through their own, you know, going through their own muck. And here I was standing in the muck going, oh my God, how do I get through this? But in the old days, it would have made me cry. It would have just broke me in half. But instead, I just kept asking my higher powers, or my angels, or the universe, please help me get through this. Please help me find a way through this. Because there's always going to be somebody who's going to need you. And yeah, we're allowed to say no. I couldn't say no to these two specific situations. They were both very, very, very heavy and deep for these people. And they needed someone to talk it through with them. They needed someone to vent to. You know, and I hope that the two people that texted me last, I think it was Wednesday and Thursday, I'm sure they're still going through it, but when you sit there and you listen, people start to work things out in their own head. You know, people start to move through their issues and solve their problems. And that's because you are basically taking this stuff that they keep telling themselves, and you're flipping the narrative for them. You're saying, well, what if you look at it this way? You know? So, again, it can be hard. It can be hard. And this was all during the week. You know, I mean, this was like on, I think, what did I say? Wednesday and Thursday. It's like, oh my God. So, and I say that because that's when I was the deepest in this, when I was just like, in fact, I think I took Thursday off from the perspective and then came back Friday, but it was kind of like, oh, because your mind is swimming. But that's one of the reasons why, because I had nothing left. So anyways, I do realize this one was all over the page. I do apologize for that. But, you know what, this is how mental health works sometimes. You just got to wing it and find your way around it. You know, it's like being on one of those little, what are those surfboards with the sails on them? Windsurfing. My brain, like windsurfing, right? Can we just jump on like a wave runner and just run away? But, no, it's almost like windsurfing. I mean, you can control the direction, but you can't control the direction of the wind. And you can't control the fact of whether it's going to stay windy or not. I mean, what if the wind just dies and you're sitting on the ocean going, okay, how am I going to get back? Use your sail as a paddle. But that's my point. We choose the direction we go in. And when you constantly fill yourself with a certain belief, you're going to consistently get back support of that belief. Okay? See, for me, like when I was talking about politics earlier, I see everything because I do stand in the middle. Because I am very centrist. And, it's like, ooh, you get pummeled by both sides. And you pick the good from the bad. And all the people yelling at each other and saying they're right and saying they're right, saying they're right. I mean, there's some things that I'm very hardcore issue on. Some things I'm very hardcore issue on. I'm following something that's happening in England that just, like I said, this guy that talks, like the union rep that talks to me, he just blows my mind. I could listen to this guy all day. Because he's smart, he's articulate, and he does his homework. And, that's kind of a side note. But that's what we need to do. We need to do our homework. All right? Don't just go off of what somebody believes and then decide that that's going to be the only way you think. Do your own homework. Think outside the box. Question everything. All right? So, that was a rough one. But anyways, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. Again, I do apologize for going a little off the rails there a little bit. Not my intention. Not my intention at all. But like I said, I think there's still some more work I need to do with my brain today. Maybe just turn off my phone, not listen to anyone, not talk to anyone, no social media, all that stuff. Just close out the world. So, again, have a great, great day, everybody. I'll see everybody back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific. I cannot talk today. Pacific. I almost said specific standard time. 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Facebook Live. All lives are public. Anybody can watch. I also upload these to YouTube. I share it on Twitter. I do a shorter TikTok version of this where I basically just read the card and give you a one-liner and you're off and running. And I do that on Instagram and TikTok. Actually, I do it on TikTok and share it to Instagram. And I also share that to Twitter. So, and you can also find these on my Facebook page, The Aloha Perspective, which you're welcome on either that or YouTube to go and like and subscribe. So anyways, have a great, great day, everybody. Please take care of yourselves. Please accept my apology for probably overstepping in certain places there. I do apologize for that. But have a great day, and hopefully tomorrow will be a little more on target. All right. Thank you so much for watching.